What's happening, everybody? Justin, Bridgewater's finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter, fueled as always by the incredible folks at Nerd Tees. I don't often wear a hoodie on here, but it's November on the east coast of Canada, so it is cold this morning. Welcome to the Grey Cup 110 episode of my weekly CFL football pick show. For the 2023 CFL season, we are down to the final game of the year. The Grey Cup competed between the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Montreal Alouettes, live from Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton, Ontario. This coming Sunday, we're just like 48 hours away. I can't wait. This will easily be the shortest video and episode of the season because obviously there's only one game to talk about. And yeah, there's a ton of different angles that you could take on this to make this a much longer kind of breakdown than it probably needs to be. But I have this thing about me with championship games, specifically with like singular, like one game. And it's not that the trends and the stats and the analytics and the stuff that I'm kind of known for when I talk about this is not that those things don't matter, because they absolutely do. But when it's one game, it's not like the NHL or the NBA or Major League Baseball where it's series of 5 or 7 games. It just feels different. It's tough to describe, but it's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm sentimental, but to me it's just different. And before I talk about how it's different, I want to take a second. I'm going to do it right away from the top because there's only a few days left. Ladies and gentlemen, nerdtees.ca. It is Black Friday season on nerdtees.ca. If you go there, you can save 30% basically across the board in Black Friday savings. No promo code required. On nerdtees.ca, you're going to find dozens and dozens of incredible loose leaf tea, estate coffee, and flavored coffee blends, just like what I'm drinking today, which is a golden apple cinnamon, which is one of my absolute favorite blends. It's been one of my favorite blends for a long, long time. It can be one of yours too, along with, again, just a litany of other great options for you on nerdtees.ca. 30% off Black Friday savings across the board. No promo code required. Free shipping in Canada on any order over $100 and a great conversion rate on the US dollar. Find yourself something to love or find someone you love something to love just in time for Christmas. You can do it on nerdtees.ca. So obviously the West Division kind of ended up the way everybody thought it was going to end up at the beginning of the season. The East Division, not so much. Obviously the Montreal Alouettes ride a dominant defensive performance to a big upset win over, again, what I've gone on record saying, like, this might be the best Canadian Football League team maybe that I've ever seen, this 16-2 Argos team. You can kind of say the same about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They were a little more balanced, but I mean, like, Zach Collaros didn't light that game on fire. He had 150-some passing yards, so it wasn't a dominant performance there. But the defense, getting to Vernon Adams, I think 9 or 10 times in the backfield, a few key turnovers, a dominant run game, obviously, with Brady Oliveira. The Bombers get the job done, and so we have Grey Cup 110. And again, when it comes to championship games, for me, a lot of it comes down to your gut. You know what I mean? A lot of it comes down to what you believe. And first things first, I believe both of these teams deserve to be here. For the majority of the season, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers were the best team in the West Division. At times, there was like, can we have the conversation that maybe it's BC? But for the vast majority of the season, it was the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They were the class of the West Division, and everyone had the expectation that they were going to be here, and they are. The Montreal Alouettes were certainly not the best team in the East Division this season, but they ended the season playing like it. Like, at one point, I believe this team was like 6-7, and just sort of kind of treading water, and you thought, like there's nobody that's going to step to the Argos. But as the season came to its conclusion, the Montreal Alouettes went on a run predicated on a very, very solid defense, opportunistic defense. It led them into the playoffs, it led them over Hamilton, and it led them over Toronto. They have 2 quality playoff wins predicated on an exceptionally strong defense and absolutely, positively deserve to be in this spot. I believe that in most offensive considerations, I'd rather have the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I would rather have Zach Collaros over Cody Fajardo. I would rather have Brady Oliveira and the Bombers run game over, the combination of Stanback, Fletcher, Antwi, and Montreal's run game. I would rather have Winnipeg's complement of wide receivers than Montreal's complement of wide receivers. I would rather have Winnipeg's offensive line than Montreal's offensive line. I think the one kind of debate that might be there might be in the receiving cores, because you look at Montreal's receiving core, Austin Mack is one of the best receivers in this league. Kai and Julian Grant, when he's in there, is a very good complement to that, and Mack plus KJG is one of the best 1-2 punches in the CFL. Tyson Philpott is one of the best breakout wide receivers in the CFL this year. Tyler Snead can hold his own, especially as a wide receiver 3-4. He's very dangerous in a spot like that. I've got nothing against Montreal's complement of receivers. They're very good. You look at Winnipeg, and I think they have 3 bona fide number ones on other teams. That's why I have to give the edge to Winnipeg there. When you think that, like, Carlton Agudosi, who's like a 6'6" athletic freak, couldn't get routine regular playing time with this complement of wide receivers in Winnipeg, that should tell you all that you need to know. I believe that defensively, this is probably a push now. I wouldn't have said that earlier in the season. I would have said, no, I definitely take Winnipeg's defense. But the way Montreal's defense has played in this down the stretch at the end of the regular season and so far in these playoffs, opportunistic, stout, they've been doing everything that they need to do. You watch that game back against Toronto. That's the most explosive and efficient offense in the CFL this year by a lot. And you look at what that Alouettes defense was able to do to them. There was a point that defense made Toronto look at times downright pedestrian. And they've been a lot of things this year. Pedestrian is not one of them. And I believe you could even make the argument that from a coaching perspective, this is pretty even. I mean, what more can you say about Mike O'Shea and the incredible staff they have over there in Winnipeg? Jason Maas has found himself a nice little spot here in Montreal, and he has put together an exceptional football team, a football team that's playing exceptional football. And I believe it's time to tell you who I think is going to win this game. So, Montreal are taking 8.5 points here as a very strong dog. Like, Winnipeg is a very strong favorite in this game, minus 8.5, obviously on a neutral field. The total in this game is 47.5 points. Why don't we start with the total? I think this game is going to stay under. I do think 2 exceptional defenses playing exceptional football are going to cause this game to be an under. I think we're looking at like maybe a low 40, but where we've got like 47.5, which is a high mid ranging to a mid or to a high. I think we're going to stay under on this one. So we're going to stay under the 47.5 point total. I am going to take the plus 8.5 on the Montreal Alouettes. I feel like their defense has deserved that. And certainly with the way that they've played in the latter part of the season and into these playoffs. Once again, the Alouettes defense absolutely deserves for you to take these plus 8.5 points. That's the way I'm going to go. And by a final score of 24-17, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will win Grey Cup 110. I think this is going to be a tight, entertaining, exceptionally coached, very fun football game. I think you could see multiple lead changes in this game. I think in the fourth quarter, this game is really going to be a sweat. I believe the Green Day are going to rock the house for the halftime show. And I believe that ultimately the pass rush of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers is going to decide this football game. It's been Montreal's biggest problem all season long, and that is the one thing down the stretch that I really don't think they fixed. They played a little bit better, the offensive line, down the stretch, but last week was pretty porous. Fajardo took plenty of sacks, plenty of hits. And again, you look at what Winnipeg's pass rush did against Vernon Adams and the Lions. Vernon Adams, a much more mobile quarterback. than Cody Fajardo. I will say this. I feel like Cody Fajardo has kind of found his redemption, right? I feel like a lot of people wrote him off with how his time in Saskatchewan ended. And I think not without good cause, but I feel like they kind of wrote him off. That time ended the way it ended. Now I'm here and I'm playing for a championship when the team I left didn't even make the playoffs. It has to be very kind of fulfilling for him as a professional, and I feel great for him. I just don't think this is going to be his night. So give me a 24-17 final for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Take the plus 8.5 on Montreal. Give me an under on the 47.5 point total, and give me Brady Oliveira as my Grey Cup MVP. Couple of touchdowns on the ground. I feel this is his season. He is undeniable. He is probably the best running back in football, and I think he's going to show it on the biggest stage. There you go, folks. That's how I think Grey Cup 110 is going to go down, but I know for a fact that it is going to go down this Sunday from Hamilton, Tim Hortons Field. I can't wait to watch this game. It's the culmination of everything that this season has been, and for me personally, look, this season started off terribly from a picks perspective. Having a lot of fun, a lot of people watching the show, but from a picks perspective, this show started off very slowly. Really poorly, in fact. I was not on my game at the early part of the season. And like the Montreal Alouettes, I really hit my stride down the stretch while I was on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean for some reason, because that's just how things work for me. Really hit my stride, but I never stopped having fun. Never, ever, ever stop having fun with this show and this community. I absolutely love talking about the CFL on here with you guys every single week during the season. It is one of my great joys as a content creator to do this and to be one of the more visible content creators about the CFL on this platform. It matters to me a lot. I am exceptionally, exceptionally grateful for all of you that take an interest in this unique, crazy, great little Canadian game. That's it for me, Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter, fueled as always by the incredible folks at NerdTees, 24-17 for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I have them winning Grey Cup 110. What do you think is going to happen? Let me know in the comments down below. And hey, we'll see you for the rest of this NFL season. And we'll see you again next year for the CFL. Love, Canada, football.